Hello everyone and welcome back to another industry report. Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War is now out in the open, and there's actually a lot to talk about with this one, especially with its very confusing business model. You'll barely believe how strange it is, and I mean, yeah, it also does have that price hike for the next gen that they've included in a very interesting way. They've also had a run-in with the censors, and of course there's the game itself, and obviously Activision's bigger picture plans for the franchise. A franchise that, remember, is seemingly stronger than ever these days. And of course, if you are going to be going and fighting the Cold War, then you'd better level up with Skillshare, today's sponsor, where I've got a pretty awesome thing to show you, and where the first 1,000 of you to click my link will get 2 months of premium for free, and it's just $10 a month after that. So, you've got to hit up the new productivity masterclass from Ali Abdal. Now, you've probably seen Ali on YouTube. He's exploded on the platform, and between him being a junior doctor via doing Oxford medicine and then literally doing my job after his 9 to 5, you know he's a productive guy. It's a really well-made series as well. Ali can walk the walk, he can talk the talk, and I think that the topic breakdown there is particularly great. It's very actionable. I think it's worth your time. And hey, the more productive you are, the more time for Vidya. So, the first 1,000 of you to click my link will get 2 months for free. It's just $10 a month after that. Thank you to Skillshare for being such a great partner for us. And with that said, let's get into the video. Let's begin with the strange cross-gen edition, the multiple editions, and the very obvious ways that they're trying to get a bit more money out of this one. So we got a look at the editions and the prices of Cold War, and I think it's just intentionally confusing. That's how I would describe it. The different editions leaked ahead of time, but they were confirmed last night. So the current gen edition, right, those versions, they should release November 13th, with next gen coming holiday 2020. Now those are the standard edition, $60, the cross-gen bundle, $70, and the Ultimate Edition, $90. Now, all three editions include beta access and a new operator for Modern Warfare and Warzone, but only if purchased digitally. Now, the specific editions, of course, give the usual mess of skins, tier skips, weapon packs, various things like that, but it's the edition and platform relationship that's a total mess here. So, the standard edition can be digitally upgraded to next gen for $10. So that means the PS4 physical edition can be upgraded. But the Xbox One physical current-gen edition cannot be upgraded to the next-gen edition. And the PS4 physical upgrade, right, if you want your PS4 physical one to turn into a PS5 game, well, that can be upgraded, but it's going to need the disc. And that's not going to work if you have the no disk drive digital edition of the PS5. So that's pretty messy. Then the Xbox Series X physical standard edition is compatible with the Xbox One. But the PS5 physical edition won't work with the PS4. And then on top of that mess, you've got the open beta, which is going to be available on PlayStation at least 5 days earlier than any other format. And once again, that's an example of what Sony are calling PlayStation Advantage, which basically just means they pay so that if you're not on their platform, you can't have something or you get it late. So it sucks. It's, of course, something that has happened in this generation as well. Now, over on the PC, we actually get to ignore the weird disparity. Just that we kind of don't, because the next-gen upgrades, obviously in PC, are not a problem, right? So that would make you think, great, you just got to pay the $60, you don't have to get a next-gen edition, you're all happy. Don't worry, though, they have found a little bit of a way to sneak it in, because if you want the Ultimate Edition cosmetics, then you don't get to save the $10, because it's $90 on PC as well, even though the PC edition doesn't come with the next-gen upgrade. Oh, I'm so tired going through these editions. Basically, right, it feels like they've purposefully made this thing obtuse as hell, especially in the physical realm, so that they can just push people towards next-gen and digital and the $70 price tag that's going on there. I mean, the Xbox versions, I mean, they're such a mess, right? The Xbox One version is compatible with the Series X and, and vice versa. The Series X one, of course, is the one that costs more money and does work in the Xbox One. But the thing is, if you actually look at the cover art of both of them, well, I mean, they look really similar, right? It's like they mentioned both consoles on the covers of both editions for either console. It's so confusing. Yes, basically, no parent is going to be purchasing the right thing this Christmas unless they just give up and buy the $80, digital store credit and just do it that way. So you really can, though, see how the plan is coming together here. Activision really had been cagey on the next-gen pricing for a good while. Like, as an example, even their earnings call recently, they said they announced the pricing soon. And I think that's likely because they knew what they would be doing, right? I think they knew they wanted to follow, Take-Two and 2K's lead of $70 and try to get that to be the industry norm. Because, I mean, if it's the industry norm, it's good for them. The rest of the industry will probably follow Call of Duty if it can get away with it. So yes, COD can essentially be this Trojan horse for getting us to that $70 price tag, which, in an ideal world, right, we could pay what games are actually worth and they wouldn't have to be full of microtransactions and things, and maybe we'd pay $90 for just a good old, reliable game, and we'd be happy for it. But I don't think that's really what's going to happen. I think what's going to happen is the price of games is going to increase, if it possibly can, maybe up to that $70, and I don't think they're going to decrease the microtransactions or anything like that, so I think it's just going to be a little bit of a lose-lose for customers, actually. But even before this was confirmed, yes, COD seemed like a prime candidate here. I think the rest of the industry would be happy enough to follow in its lead. And, some aspects of this are a bit disappointing. To give you an example, they actually did free digital next-gen upgrades for Call of Duty Advanced Warfare back in the day. That's not really what's happening now. But I'd say that's probably a bit of the standard set for much of the next-gen. Of course, something we'll have to see develop. Of course, it wouldn't be a Call of Duty game without a little bit of controversy. So, the reveal trailer ruffles some feathers over in China for a 1 second long clip of, that sort of scuffle in the square. It's that thing. YouTube's been oddly sensitive to that stuff lately, which has been weird. And to say scuffle in the square is really not a good way to put it, because it was an absolute massacre at the hands of the armed forces there. So there was a 1 second clip of that, and basically that event in history that is a thing that did happen is something you can't really mention, and the party would really rather just pretend it didn't really happen. So that's obviously a situation where any mention of it is pretty bad, and there's actually times where I think is it TMX? It's like TMX, and then if you use like a square in terms of your typing, you could actually say that in a public chat, and then it could actually just get people instantly booted if they were from the region, if you were playing like, I don't know, CS or something. So, it's just that situation, right? So there was a 1 second clip, right, in that trailer. It was definitely a blink and you'll miss it kind of situation, but yes, the Chinese video platforms almost immediately replaced the clip with a blank screen. Activision Blizzard actually did release themselves an amended version of the trailer a few days later. Now, this is obviously not the first time the Call of Duty franchise has annoyed China. They've annoyed quite a lot of people, actually. Russia is another example with the most recent game. In 2018, though, Chinese internet cafes were ordered to ban Black Ops 2, and that was because it featured a fictional World War I era bombing of that square. Now, some of this might be considered a bit hypocritical, right, considering the whole know your history marketing here. More on that in a bit, but I think really Activision Blizzard may have just reacted quickly enough to this to keep, right, the business sort of interests in that region on their side and to be happy enough. And I think the Western view of that story does add a bit of this spicy notoriety that is something that Call of Duty, maybe that edginess as well, that it traditionally has done quite well off. I mean, remember, no Russian. And speaking of edge, let's talk about the marketing. So I think we really do have to talk about the rather wild decision to lead marketing with Yuri Bezmenov's warning to America about ideological subversion. Pretty interesting that came up here. I mean, that's driven some mad eyeballs to the original video, which I think is a good thing, an interesting thing. And a lot of people are they were quite surprised to find out, really, that a lot of what Yuri suggested the Soviets were doing in 1984 kind of actually did come to pass in a bit. Now, his warning basically speaks to establishing a population of people who are swayed more by feelings and ideology than facts, and then destabilizing the government and key elements of the country, instigating crisis and mass chaos, and then normalizing basically a post-fact society. And yes, that's a clip from 1984. That's when he said that, but it all does sound rather like America today. day, which is probably why it was used in the marketing, because yes, it's them using that to just, poke at the humongous political schism and I think general chaos of just about all kinds going on in America. And it obviously worked really well. It got people talking about that, and it absolutely exploded in terms of views and engagement and all of that. And I think it will play very well to a lot of the audience there for that game. So I think it will have basically just been a marketing win. I think it really has been. Now, obviously, there are sides of the internet who are deeply, deeply, deeply unhappy of the usage of this. The way that it's happened, of course, calling in the sort of the relationship between Call of Duty and the American Armed Forces and, blah, 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 all of that stuff as well. So the whole thing is very multifaceted. I will say at a very basic level for marketing, though, this is a clear win, driven a lot of engagement, conversation around the situation in America right now, and this kind of deeper, more real, sort of edgy Call of Duty, which obviously is tying into the whole Know Your History marketing. And I've got to imagine that internally they probably refer to this as like the red pill marketing, the red pill plan, something like that. I think that's basically what they tried to do, and I think they knew that it would have been a little bit controversial, but also I think they knew it was going to work, and I think it absolutely has worked for them. Now, on the other marketing front, they're also really unlocking the potential of Warzone by running a huge ARG, and it's been very interesting. So players have been deciphering teasers and clues to unlock more stuff. That culminated in the reveal trailer, and the ARG lasted about a week and a half, which is a little bit drawn out, but it's a pretty novel idea nonetheless, and they did it very well, and especially at that huge scale. And I think what's interesting there is this one in particular, it was pretty damn dense, but what matters there, I think, is it's not just the regular players doing the ARG. I think it's the Call of Duty content creators who had this crazy thing to follow for a long period of time, and that will have driven probably tens of millions of views. And then another point, I suppose, is that Black Ops Cold War is probably one of the worst kept secrets in gaming. I mean, it was so leaky. So I think that to use the ARG to sort of drum up this new wave of more like organic, community-led hype, probably an extremely strong move for them. Now, there was one a bit weird thing they were doing where, yes, this stuff actually did leak. It did leak very, very, very recently before it officially came out. And that led to a awkward situation of Activision being caught DMCAing media accounts on Twitter for talking about the leaked details after they were announced. So maybe that's just some crossed wires, some DMCA takedown notices going out late, some lag time, but certainly a very, very bad look indeed. Now, as for the game itself, well, we should probably talk about that, shouldn't we? So, it is being marketed as a direct narrative sequel to 2010's Call of Duty Black Ops. Does that excite a bit of me? Yes, because, Black Ops 1, right? That is firmly filed under back in the day. Now, this, I think, though, is a pretty significant thing for Activision's goal of continued audience interest in Call of Duty's world and characters. Like, Frank Woods is one of the few characters to be referenced in each one of Treyarch's Black Ops titles, and he's in Warzone as a Cold War pre-order bonus. So, yes, I think you can see how it's all tying together. I think a Black Ops campaign remastered would, again, tie this all together very nicely as well, especially considering how well the Modern Warfare 2 remaster was received. And also, by the way, it's free in PS Plus right now along with Fall Guys, which is kind of interesting, I guess. Now, the live Warzone event really also did see some numbers. There was like 950k-ish concurrent viewers on Twitch, so that went really well. And then as for the other stuff, well, campaign, multiplayer, and zombies all get their own separate reveals, and that's just being drip-fed, and I think that's going to be extremely successful. So the current gen release date, right, that's November 13th. This date did leak ahead of time, but of course, now that it's fully confirmed, we can expect the full zombies and multiplayer reveal on September 9th, probably more drip feed things after that, of course a beta as well after that at some point. I think it is admittedly kind of neat to see a series as long running as Call of Duty actually try things like this to stay fresh. And that's a thing where they really try to stay fresh by going science fiction, going a bit crazy for a while. Now, I love science fiction, and, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, it was clearly inspired by Battlestar Galactica. Now, I think it, failed a whole bunch of stuff. Come on, what was the guy called Gator or something? So it was a bit interesting the way they're trying to do that. But, they went in this whole big period of trying to reinvent things, and I think what happened there is they just kind of shot out all of these little throwaway Call of Duties with their own weird worlds and settings, but they didn't really really tie into each other that well. And all those campaigns were like under 5 hours, which I don't think was enough for people to get like invested in the world and the characters. So I think what they're really leaning on now is having the new era of Modern Warfare, the new era of Black Ops, and basically just running those things, right? And actually really expanding the depth of each one of those worlds. I think that's what their plan is going to be anyway, because I think they probably now have realized that doing Call of Duty Ghosts and Advanced Warfare and Infinite Warfare and all these random warfares that kind of confuse people that just come out of nowhere, I think they probably noticed that that's not really a winning strategy, because that is basically the period of time where Call of Duty was going through its big struggle in terms of being relevant. But it is, of course, going a bit more back to their roots that's actually sort of got them big these days. So I think that's what's going to be happening here. And to push off this next wave of it, I think that this whole marketing strategy was probably the best way to do it, right? We had incredibly successful teasers and reveals. We had, of course, the ARG, which was going out to, you know, the 75 million Warzone players. That's obviously going to be funneling them into the next big premium release. And what that all brings us to is talking about Activision's goals as a broader business. So with the massive success of Warzone, Modern Warfare, and mobile, basically CoD is going to new heights these days. So we got to wonder, what are Activision's ambitions for the future there? Well, their Q2 earnings call said that they're going to be building on their direct digital relationship with the Call of Duty community when it comes to the future of the franchise. Now, this does make a lot of sense, considering that relationship, as they put it, pushed Warzone to over 75 million players and drove a, quote, 8-fold increase in hours played in Modern Warfare, which is also kind of wild. Now, together, the two games drove a 270% year-on-year revenue increase for Activision. So I think that's pretty telling. Then following last night's Cold War reveal, Treyarch also released a statement saying that the core pillars of their multiplayer experience are deniable operations, signature combat, and a connected experience across the entire community. So I guess, yes, they're probably just going to be furthering that like deep connection between all the different facets of Call of Duty as they move into the future of the multiplayer. They've also then confirmed its targets are at 4K and up to 120 FPS on next gen, which is pretty interesting. 120 FPS for the console gamers. That's actually pretty cool. Maybe they can see the light if their TVs can handle it. Now, the next gen experience, I mean, if it's going to be looking that good with full crossplay, 120 FPS, I mean, that's actually looking to be a pretty damn sweet experience. Now, this also, I think, is beginning to tie more into how Call of Duty is, I mean, to me, it's becoming a big platform. Yes, it does have its premium releases and stuff, but I think they're now making it so that Call of Duty is just something you can evenly enjoy all the time, kind of no matter what the context is, be it mobile, be it traditional, be it battle royale. That's just going to deepen the hell out of the amount of money they can actually get from people, right? Everything that you do, every bit of money you spend in Call of Duty is going to be worth more when, for you, it is framed as being a part of this humongous multi-year thing. A bit like how people, in a game like World of Warcraft are willing to do the microtransactions for the extra mounts and things like that, because to them, it's World of Warcraft. It's this big thing they're always engaged with. I think now that is more possible than ever for the Call of Duty audience, and that's probably that deepening of the relationship that Acti really want to get there. Then there is also esports, and we've been planning to do just a video covering the bungling of CoD esports recently, but yes, it's been quite a struggle, and the pandemic-driven switch to an online format also did the Call of Duty League no favors. It did kind of recover things a little bit, but Slasher reported over the weekend that the CDL playoffs peaked at 150k concurrent viewers on YouTube. So it is really something where the CDL has got an audience. They've been messing it up a bit, but they just have to actually, do it right. Now, we are going to be covering the ActiBliz esports stuff a bit more in an upcoming video. It's an interesting situation, like Bobby's ambition to have a betting ecosystem around it that got a little bit spicy whenever we first talked about it. But and of course they've had just so many blunders recently. We'll get into that. There was, I forget what tournament it was, but the amount of DCs they had in the games was insane. But the reason why we're bringing it up in this little slice of the video is that, at least for the Call of Duty community, they actually trust Treyarch quite a bit when it comes to esports. So yes, there could be a bit of a mess right now with the current game, but we could see the CDL side of that business actually do a bit better under the stewardship of Treyarch. So there you go, that is your big Call of Duty catch-up. Bloody hell, there was quite a lot to get into, and certainly a lot of money to be made out of Call of Duty, now more so than ever. And I think it's that reinvention of a very old franchise that is the most interesting, the most worthy of just paying attention to, because I think from that we can really learn just what actually gets people to tick, what gets them long-term invested, even at an identity level in a brand. And I think that's the kind of thing that's happening with Call of Duty. I mean, come on, somebody mentions Ghost, people get weak at the knees. And I think it's just, if they're trying to do the same with Woods and Mason and all those Black Ops characters, that's just going to get people in a bit of a soft spot and get them excited. So that's it for today's video. Do you want to watch another one though? Well, the story behind Black Myth Wukong is actually a very interesting one. Bunch of guys got tired of basically working in the 10-cent mines in games they didn't really believe in, and we've done a video on it. It was out yesterday, so you can check that out. Of course, another thing to check out is today's sponsor, Skillshare. Seriously, it's a great bit of stuff from Ali. I would really recommend that one. I've actually switched over to Rome as a note-taking app based on his recommendation, and that particular one in Skillshare, I think you'd really get a lot out of it. And of course, you can get it for free with my link down below. So, dead handy stuff. Thanks to them, thanks to you for watching, and I'll see you next time.